the Martin's question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbons, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. All right. With the Saints having minimal premium draft picks or free agent additions, it feels like the season kind of hinges on Kubiak being the next big thing. Do you agree with that approach, and do you think it is a smart strategy?
I don't think strategy is the right word here. I don't think the Saints are like, aha, I know how we can beat the salary cap. Let's hire the next big thing. But if you're looking for reasons not to like give away your season tickets right now when they haven't made a splash anywhere else, that is a path to how this team could not sign any major players, only add a couple of draft picks, and still get better. So this goes back to the top of the show. This is a soft reset. They're not all in. They're catching up on the cap a little. They're spending very conservatively. And in the process, they'd like to win 10 games with this team. And I think if you're going to talk yourself into that being possible, Klint Kubiak is the number one reason to believe that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you got to bet on him, and this is just kind of where they're at, their reality. I want a second question here. Mr. O Universe in the chat likened what's happening right now to the rebuild in 2014 to 2016. How do you feel about that comp?
I don't agree. Like, I love the optimism of that question, but that was not going to work if they didn't draft Sheldon Rankins and Michael Thomas and Von Bell in 2016 and then have the greatest draft class in like NFL history in 2017. You can only rebuild through the draft.
Let's just talk that span though. Like, do you feel like this is kind of the same thing? I'm not talking about the end outcome. Like 14, 15, 16. Do you feel like this is comparable to what happened then? And really more 15, 16, because I don't think 14 was the season that kind of said, all right, like that's when the Saints kind of said like, this isn't working. We got to reset it.
After 14.
So 14 was an
14 was a flop.
14 was an all-in year that flopped.
Yeah. I think they eventually got there. I mean, I'll never forget when Sean Payton was talking about seeing the photo of all the young guys on the sideline, how Lee Kakaha was one of them. And like they realized, I think it was it wasn't until the end of 3 straight years of losing that they decided to go a little more youth. Because then, they started trading away guys like Malcolm Brown, the nose tackle. Like they were just like, let's stop having anybody that's like a 30-year-old just a guy on our team. They obviously traded away Jimmy Graham because of what he could bring back. They had like Drew, Teron Armstead, Cam Jordan, and then they tried to really get younger. They felt a need to get younger. I don't know that I see that with this team. We just talked about them re-upping with a lot of older guys. They're not stockpiling draft picks. That 2015 draft, they had like 11 draft picks. I think I want that path that person suggested in the chat. I don't see it in front of them right now.
I don't think it's comparable at all because I think that was a more extreme situation than what this is. I think the only thing that masked how extreme that was is that they had Drew Brees and they won games because of him. They got to 7 because of the quarterback. I think that was like a complete shedding almost outside of a couple guys. Like I feel like this
team, Drew and then a couple of more guys.
I feel like this team is considerably more talented. Like I think there's a lot more talented players on this team than that 16 team was barren. Like they had a good receiver core in 16 and Drew, and that was it. Like it was Brandon Cooks, Drew, Mike Thomas, and Willie Snead. Like that was and Mark Ingram was solid then still too. So there was some decent pieces on offense, but like it was a barren situation. This team feels closer to being able to win 10 games than those teams did.
Right.
If you isolate the quarterback.